Where are we today, Bill?
Well, Rick, today we are in Wilton, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
and we are at Vale's Inn Cemetery. And it, as you can see, it is probably one of the most beautiful, prettiest little cemeteries in the state. But it does have a rather infamous history.
Well, we're standing right next to Mary Ritter Spalding, who is also known as the Blue Lady.
Yes.
And apparently she appears with sort of a blue aura. I've also read that this gravestone right here sometimes has a blue aura to it. I believe right now it looks fairly normal
at the moment. Yes,
we're seeing a blue light over it, I guess, is actually what they...
Maybe the blue sky.
It might be the blue sky. I don't know. It's also a place that supposedly has sort of an invisible force, believe it or not. And that invisible force, for example, can cause photography to fail. So it will be interesting to see whether our video is actually going to be recorded, or when we get home, I'll discover that perhaps it's been...
Well, I have a new camera, but I've taken several stills around the cemetery, and so far, and several of the Blue Lady stone.
Yeah.
And so far, they're all showing.
They're all still there.
So they're still there now.
Well,
we'll wait till we get them home.
We'll have to see what happens when we get it home. There's also some stories, believe it or not, about these trolls, or, I mean, I guess they're little fuzzy figures that this is a word, and they have a name for it. I'm looking at it right here. They're called puckwudgies.
Yes.
If I'm pronouncing that correctly.
I think you are, yes.
Now we're in it. It's supposedly New England's magic little people. Now, both of us grew up in New England.
Yes.
And have you ever heard of a puckwudgie?
Not until I read about the Vale's Inn Cemetery, have I ever heard that term.
No, well, right now, I've heard that they might even, they're out in the woods, and they might be watching us right as we work here. Maybe they'll show up in one of our pictures. We'll see. Actually, one photographer took a picture that actually had this big red blob, apparently, and it looked like the devil of all things.
Yes.
I don't know if one of the puckwudgies looked like a devil, or don't know, but apparently that happened. Another, I guess, fairly well-known person in the in that area of people who like to come and study and find out about paranormal, phenomena that is not normal, was a woman named Fiona Broom, I believe her name is.
So. Yeah.
And apparently she came here actually officially to come and check this cemetery out. And she came with her daughter, who apparently was afraid to come here.
Well, I think that was the photographer's daughter.
Exactly.
Yes.
Didn't I say that?
No.
I don't know. Probably didn't.
Well, she has quite a reputation, and I would invite anybody to check out her website. It's quite interesting, and she has some interesting theories. And she's a very well-educated person, and very much into this. She's written several books.
Yeah.
And I think we should leave a link to her website down below here when we finish this up. But yeah, she's a fascinating person from what I can tell. And she had a fantastic story about this place.
But I also believe that, didn't she come here?
Yes.
And then it was only how long afterwards that I think
it's just 5 days later.
5 days later, she was found in her car having died of a heart attack.
The photographer.
Yes, not the daughter.
Yeah, I think the story is that they had visited another cemetery down the road here in Hollis that is haunted, or supposed to be haunted. And the daughter of the photographer was very, very disturbed. So they moved up here to Vale's Inn, and here the daughter again had, terrible premonitions.
Yeah.
So they left. They started to have the same feeling, and they got out of here. And then Fiona came back. Well, I should finish up. What happened was that 5 days later, the photographer who was doing their photo shoot, the videography, she passed away in her car in a local mall and died of an apparent heart attack.
Yes.
So
yeah.
that gets attached to the story of the phenomenon or whatever of the hauntings here at Vale Inn.
Exactly. And now that's an interesting point, though. Now, I think we discovered that this cemetery was established in what, 1752,
Yep.
and until 1970,
Right.
there were no reports of anything strange
Exactly.
going on here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we had, what, 218 years
later.
where everything was free and clear.
Yeah, there's
So
no mention of
no
the town
mention
histories or anything.
of pudwudgies or anything,
No,
as far as we know.
And the poor lady Mary is
And she rested in peace
Yeah.
for a while. Yeah, very interesting. I don't know. There's also another story of an old man who roams this cemetery. And apparently his daughter was buried here as well. We haven't been able to really follow up on that story exactly, but apparently he roams looking for his daughter's grave because for some reason it was moved.
Yes.
So now he can't find it.
Yeah.
Another person, while we're still here, we should talk about this, and I hope I didn't just knock one of those coins off. But
you're in trouble now.
Could be. Mary Ritter Spalding was Captain Isaac Spalding's first wife.
Right.
And she's buried here.
Yes.
His second wife, who was also named Mary, is also buried here. Now, I guess really the presumption was that was a good way to save some money.
Old Yankees.
Old Yankees. Yeah.
You know, why not?
Although some say no, this is interesting, but some say her husband buried Mary here, the original Mary, alive.
Yep.
And there's also some suggestion she was killed by an evil spirit. Mm-hmm. So we don't know. We haven't been able to establish any of that. But apparently by reputation, the original Mary, we don't know too much about the second one, but also was considered a very loving mother, good and loving wife, and really very nice, very nice lady.
Very respectable.
All accounts.
And, outstanding citizen of the community.
And apparently even when she appears, or if the blue light appears, that there's nobody ever feels any real fear from her or threatened by her.
She's a good spirit.
I don't know about the pudwudgies.
Yeah.
But
well, that story of the pudwudgies also kind of relates to Fiona in that she returned at a later date. Apparently she gives ghost stories, but she came back on a later date, at which time she spotted a bunch of little, about 3 foot high, furry critters. They reminded her of Elmo.
Yes, I think you said that at some point.
Well, they took a lot of photographs, and only one of them came out, and it was kind of
pretty blurry, so kind of inconclusive.
But that is why people later speculated that these little guys showed up. So that just kind of adds on to the story later on.
Well, this actually, believe it or not, another story that we can add to this, and this is a little interesting because most of the graves that we have visited, we've actually had some fairly definable history. Mm-hmm. And we've been able to go back and research and be able to say, okay, from all the sources that we could find, that what the story we're telling is as true as we can make it. And some of the things we talked about are legend too as well. But this story, there's no real definable history here exactly, except that the people who are buried here. But there is another story that goes along with this, and this was a woman named Robin Schoen, or Schön it would be if she were really in Germany, which is a German name. But she wrote a book called Grandmother's Guest, The Blue Lady of Wilton. And the reason she wrote that is because her granddaughter was afraid to come here. Actually, she apparently lived right nearby, and her granddaughter was afraid to even come and visit her grandmother because of this cemetery.
Yeah.
So she wrote a very well received children's story, apparently, and I assume that it worked. That she was, she convinced her granddaughter to come and visit her. Tell me about the other thing, though, that happened to us the last time we were here. Or happened to you, because I was standing over here.
It's certainly not in the paranormal
No,
realm,
this one's not paranormal.
No, I happened to meet a lady while Rick was photographed looking for the Blue grave. I was talking to a woman that had came in, and she said she came here quite often, and that her and her friends like to have parties or picnics or cocktail parties in various cemeteries. We thought that was fairly, not only a little unusual, but on the other hand, why not?
Well, I mean, you told me that she said it was a nice, quiet place for them, a group of ladies to come, sit down, have their cocktails, presumably before it got dark.
Yes.
And presumably in a better time of year than when it's too cold. But that was just an interesting addition to...
I don't know why not. I think that's just fine.
Yeah. So it's the only time we've actually run into that. But anyway, I think that's pretty much the story.
That's the story.
And as you can see from some of the videos that we've taken, that this is really a very beautiful spot. Would be a nice spot to have right over in there to have a cocktail party.
Little circle
a nice, quiet one.
Nice,
And I think they do close this after dark.
Yes, it is.
Because it does attract some interest.
Yeah.
And our book, really, we do have to say, is not really designed for, to be ghost hunting. But we do cover a couple of graveyards that the stories are just too good to pass up. And
everybody loves a good ghost story.
That's right,
why not?
And,
some of these cemeteries do have that attached to them.
Well, I've written I think, as you know, three fictional books, and maybe I need to now write one about pudgewudgies. What do you think?
You should. Yes.
Yeah, I think.
I think you should. Right.
I mean, my first one was Catamount, North Country Thriller, but we could change it just Pudgewudgies.
Yeah.
That would be a good bestseller, I bet. I'm waiting for a bestseller, but anyway. So I would say, in any case, Mary, rest in peace. Both Marys, rest in peace.
Yes, both ladies, please, along with your husband.
Along with your husband.
Yes.
As you can see, there are a few quarters here. Actually, an old Man of the Mountain commemorative coin, which is kind of unique.
Yeah, a nice turkey feather down
there. And a turkey feather down there. And there's a little rock of some kind over there. Purple. It's purple. That's appropriate.
Okay.
So anyway, I think I'm going to leave a quarter.
I think it's appropriate.
It is starting. I mean, it's not too far away from dusk here.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe we should get out of here.
Probably get out of here.
Just to be safe.
Yep.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, Bill, I still feel like we're being watched.
I'm not falling for it.
Seriously.
No.
All right, look back. No?
No. You see anything?
I don't see anything, but I feel like there was somebody watching us.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to go home.
Not very clairvoyant.
No. Well, we just kind of wanted to point out that this was fun, but the book we're writing is not really all about ghosts.
Yeah.
But we've been intrigued by this story. And the Blue Lady, who we didn't see but was apparently there, as my wife Jane, who was kind enough to lend something to this video, which hopefully will at least make for a fun Halloween viewing.
Exactly. We've had a lot of fun with this, Jane. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, and again, we do want to say that cemeteries that have these stories are overrun at Halloween sometimes. And this cemetery is apparently very well patrolled in the evenings, especially when we get closer to Halloween. So you'd want to bear that in mind. And when you're in the cemetery, do have decent respect and, for the people who are here and their families.
Yep.
So happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.